hope you guys are all doing well. This is a very, very last minute live. I literally just got the nudge to put this video out to go live 15 minutes ago. So I know, and oh God, I've got this background is going a little crazy. Okay, so I know I'm not probably gonna have as many as you here right away, so I'll just wait a couple of extra seconds here for some of you to jump in. But there's something I've been observing lately, which is in line with other things that I've observed, but specifically what I've observed through a lot of different Telegram channels over the weekend, and it still seems to be playing out right now. And I want to give you guys my perception, my observation of what's coming through for me to share with all of you, and also how it relates to cancel culture from the other side as well. Okay, so I hope you're all doing really well, and I hope that you've had a great weekend. For those of you in Canada, happy Canada Day, and for all of you in the States who celebrated the 4th yesterday, happy Independence Day. But okay, I'm just going to get into it because I've got a meeting I have to jump on in about 25 minutes. So I'm seeing that there's just a lot of uproar through a lot of different Telegram channels, just because I guess certain people are asking questions which are not going over so well with other people, and I'm not here to tell you which one is the right one. Okay, that's not what this is about. It personally doesn't matter to me. You guys are all adults, you get to have your own decisions, but I just want to bring something to your attention, something to kind of percolate on and think about. Because what I'm observing is that when I go into the comments and just kind of read through and see what all of the uproar is all about, the amount of cancel culture of people either threatening to or leaving someone's channel because of one or two posts or questions that they didn't like has been very interesting to me. You know, we are in such a fragile state in this world where communication is of the utmost importance. It's why there's so much censorship. It's why there's so much suppression. And if we're not in a state where we are in balance with ourselves to the point where if we cannot hear other questions or other points of view or other sides, even if you don't like the way it's framed, even if you don't like the perceived tone through text, it's going into a dangerous place. And just witnessing it, I'm starting to realize how much wounding a lot of us are being triggered to play out right now. It doesn't matter if you're on the left, on the right, down the center, you don't put yourself anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But okay, so this is what I'm seeing. I am seeing such highly emotional responses because clearly people who are being extremely emotional are not liking what they're seeing. And so they're triggered through their own emotions because they're heavily emotionally invested in certain people, certain ideas, certain outcomes, whatever it might be. I have full familiarity with that. What we saw in January was a bit of a letdown for me personally. I'm just speaking for myself. I was like, I was really hoping it was going to go a different way. But I've always been of the mindset that you never throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, I like to listen to people who don't see things from the perspective that I do, or have a different take on things, or asking questions I never thought to ask. Does it mean that it's going to lead to the right outcome or the right information? Not necessarily, but how do we as a community and as people start coming together if we can't listen to one another because we don't like the way certain things are sounding, or we don't like the way certain questions are being framed? And I'm seeing ego on both sides, of all the stuff that's happening. I'm seeing ego on both sides, and, rightfully so. Some people, it just kind of goes with the trade, I think. But when you're this is what I was seeing, and this is what I was being guided to share with all of you, is that all I saw were a bunch of, I'm assuming adults. Okay, I'm assuming most of these people are 18, although I think a true adult is 24 and older, because I don't think our brain fully develops until 24, but whatever, 18, legal age, we'll just go with that. I'm seeing a bunch of 18-year-old plus adults acting in ways like I'm seeing their 4-year-old wounded self, their 8-year-old wounded self coming out and backlashing with cancel culture. And here's the problem with cancel culture. Yes, you have every right to, if you don't like something, you don't have to participate in it. You get to vote with your energy, you get to vote with your dollars, you get to vote in a lot of different ways, and you don't have to be part of it. But the reaction that I'm seeing is very indicative that we still have a lot of healing to do. A lot of healing. And if there was any kind of sign that I was looking for to get my butt into further gear and to kick it into high gear to get this inner child course out, it was observing what I observed in these comments over Telegram channels over this last 48 hours. I was like, wow, man, people are really triggered. And again, I'm not saying one side's right or the other is. I'm not saying that. That is besides the point. If you are worried about that, you are missing the point of healing. You are missing the point of unity, and you are getting caught in the polarity, the duality of this matrix that traps you into thinking you're right. And it also forms that sense of righteousness that gets imposed upon other people because of, what you're so firmly grounded in. There are ways to stand up for what you believe in without having to go to such emotional extremes. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, it was really interesting for me to observe, just as someone who is very interested in the healing process and interested in getting to the older wounds when I help my clients really access the deeper wounds that are causing relationship breakdowns or inability to manifest what it is that you truly want, and trying to find your value, and just seeing where all those are rooted in, and not being seen, not being heard, not feeling supported, all of those different wounds, guilt wounds, shame wounds, blame wounds, you name it. All of that was really kind of coming through. And I don't know. I'm curious if any of you have seen what I've seen. I mean, here's the other thing. It's not just in these Telegram channels. I'm not trying to I'm just using that as an example because I've seen it just so recently. But you see it even on the other side, where on the left side of ideologies, let's just say, and the cancel culture is more rampant there. But it's just as prevalent what I'm seeing on the right as well in certain ways. I'm seeing it kind of creep its way in and starting to anchor its roots in. And it's disappointing to me personally, just from a place of, wow, as a community, we should be finding a way to be able to hear one another out. Even if you don't like what someone else is saying, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But just giving the space for something, if there's something you don't want to hear, remember, truths are always harder to hear than the narratives that make us feel comfortable. And especially if we've bought into a certain narrative or a certain outcome or an ideology, it's really easy to need to defend it, because if you're wrong, your whole foundation of what you believe, which we put so much of our own identity in, starts to crumble, and all of a sudden you start to question, who am I again? And I think a lot of us keep continually going through these cycles, of who am I? What am I supposed to believe in? Who can I trust? And ultimately it's there to help us build our discernment muscle of, understanding not who I should be listening to, but how do I understand information? How is it being delivered? What are the certain questions that are being asked? What are the certain answers that are being given? Are there patterns that I'm noticing? Because there are definitely patterns to be seen if you are taking the time to take a less emotional viewpoint on things. And again, this is not about anything specific of what I've seen. This is just a general statement. But I thought it was important because if you're feeling triggered into defending something so vehemently to the point where you're like, that's it, you're going to lose like X amount of subscribers, or I'm leaving. Like, here's the thing, guys. If that's what you're saying to people when you're leaving their channel, if your whole basis of why you join someone is because they have a lot of subscribers, so you think their content must be worthy, newsflash, not always the case. If I were doing this to build my subscribers, like, the only reason I want a bigger audience is so that my message can reach more people, but I don't want to compromise who I am to get more subscribers. I don't care if I lose, X amount of subscribers because I'm speaking my truth or I'm going about something that I feel is right. That doesn't mean that I won't take into account what people are saying. I would always like look and reflect and say, oh, okay. But at the end of the day, if I truly believe what I'm believing and all of the other stuff doesn't hold as much water to what is true within me, I don't want people to think that I would say yes just so that I would have more subscribers. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do we really want to be following people who are appeasing their followers? Like, you follow someone because you like their content or you like what they have to say or it's interesting or maybe it's just plain entertaining. Who knows? But you don't follow them because they've got like a huge following and you want to, I don't know, maybe you do want to be part of something. I don't know what the reasons are why everyone follows who they follow, but you know what I'm trying to say here? Like, that's a red flag to me. If you think if you think that telling someone you're going to unsubscribe from them is going to cause them to backpedal, that to me, if that person did backpedal, is a huge red flag, because now they don't stand on their own convictions. Now they don't have certain values or truths that they stand for, and they're easily swayed. And to me, that's a red sign. That's a red flag. To me, I don't like that. I personally like someone who stands strong on their convictions, even if I don't agree with them. Even if I don't agree with them, at least they stand for something, and they're confident about it. So I don't know. It's been really interesting to observe. And the wounding that I'm seeing is, I think it speaks more to the compassionate part of myself and also a little bit of sadness. Like, the little girl inside me is just kind of sad because me as a kid, I was always just wanting to see everyone smile and just wanting to make people like having a good time and laughing. And so that little girl inside me just gets kind of sad seeing all of that. But, it's a reality. We all have wounds. We all have healing we have to do. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I was like, wow, there's a lot more healing that needs to be done in this community, which, doesn't mean our community is above any other community. That's not what I'm saying. But, sometimes you have these perceptions that if, you're on the spiritual journey and you're seeking truth and all of that. But like with anything, there's so many different layers and levels and things that we have to go through. So, yeah, all I'm saying is, to me, the reason why I don't like cancel culture in a sense of it being a movement, it's one thing for you to say, you know what, I didn't like that. I'm just going to unsubscribe quietly, not send my dollars anymore to this person if you were subscribed to something or you were buying their merch or whatever it might have been, the way you were supporting them. Maybe you just won't support them anymore, and that's the way you choose. But to need to go out and like put all caps comments or threatening unsubscribing or being really emotional, then that starts to call into question something that you need to look at. There's a trigger there that you need to look at. So why do you feel the need? What is it so angering in you so much that one thing triggers you that much, and that to the point where you can't allow yourself to listen to things that you don't like to hear, when from what I'm seeing, the majority of what if again, like I've said this before, my kind of rule of thumb is if it's 70-30, 70 where a lot of it's good, 30% maybe I'm not jiving with it, but I'm still interested because it's a different perspective. I've never thought about it that way. I stick around because I need to have my mind stretched in ways. I want to think differently. I don't want to think in a bubble. I don't want to be, stuck in this echo chamber. And now, does that mean if someone's now if it starts to flip the other way, where maybe it's 30% you're liking, 70% not, maybe it's just not the right fit for you. That's not where you want to get your information from. Again, it's all your choice. But when it becomes this movement where people try to rally and leave someone, it's just why? Why is it your mission to do that? And why is it so important to, I don't know. There's something about that I don't like at all. If you're not okay, if you don't feel valid enough in your own convictions to just leave quietly, and do whatever it is that you need to do to not support any further, then that, I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that, guys? Because this is a total off the cuff video, and I've got about 10 more minutes that I can stay on here. Let me see here. Noctua Rising, those kinds of comments are very low vibe too. Yeah, they're coming from a place of wounding. They're coming from a place of unhealed, pains, traumas, dramas, whatever they are. And I don't know, just whenever you see a cancel culture kind of situation happening, whether it's on the left or the right or wherever, just observe the comments and just see how people are reacting and yelling at each other online. And I'm I wouldn't behave like this in public. I wouldn't behave like this in person, but I guess people do it online because no one can see you. And I don't know, you're hiding behind an avatar. I have no idea, but part of it, I feel like it's birthing this really kind of shadowy, negative monster within us all to just attack. And I don't know, for me, I'm just kind of feeling inspired to really be conscious of how I respond to things, because I'm human, obviously. I'm certainly not an emotional superhero. I get triggered just as much as anyone else. And it's interesting to observe when the emotions come into play and there's heat behind it, what's fueling that? Where did it come from? But self-observation isn't always the easiest when you feel like you're on the right side of things. And that's a little bit of a slippery slope, because there's so much disinformation out there. You should be questioning everything, learning patterns, looking out for it, and this is something that happens for you on an individual basis. It'll be different for you than from anyone else, what you notice. And I don't know, maybe this will be a course that we can teach down the road for people, because it's really probably one of the most important courses that anyone could take. But at the same time, there's certain things you just can't learn other than through experience, things that you teach yourself. Plus there's that own intuitiveness that comes through. So, yeah. If you're one of the people who got really emotional and was canceling and whatever, I'm not saying go follow other people back or anything like that. That's not my concern. All I'm saying is just observe where that energy is coming from, what it's actually creating, and is that in alignment with the future you wish to see for this world? That's all. Think we've got to kind of step out of ourselves and kind of step into the future self a little bit. the part of us that's more healed, the part of us that respects open communication and not censoring, because cancel culture is a form of censorship in a way, you know, and it's again, it's the bullying movement of it that I don't like. It's not that you don't have a right to say no, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Everyone does. It's the movement of it that I don't like, because it is a hidden form of censorship. At least that's the way I see it. So before I go, I have just under 10 minutes. I'm going to leave you guys with a super positive story that happened to me on the weekend. And it's really cute. And I just wanted to say it because it kind of is a great way to close this off, as a reminder to, like, we need to come together. And even if we don't agree, like, we can't keep this bridge of separation going further and further and further apart. Okay, so Saturday morning, I was lying in bed. You know, I'd woken up, I was just scrolling through my phone. Actually, I was just starting to read through some of these like Telegram channel craziness that went on. And all of a sudden, I heard a boom on my bedroom window. And I was like, oh my God, that was a bird. That was a bird. And I was like, no, 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 no. And so I opened my blinds and I saw, because I could hear there was another bird going crazy, like chirping. And this bird was sitting on the roof, you know, below my window on its back, and feathers everywhere, and it wasn't moving. And I was like, oh no, please don't tell me this bird has died. Like, oh my God, no, this is like not happening. And what was crazy for me to witness is that this bird, there was another bird that I guess was its friend, that was sitting right at the edge of the roof on this tree that kind of comes past the roof, and was just chirping at it. And I knew that it was just basically telling the bird, like, you can get up, you can get up. And it was, I don't know if it was crying for help, because then two more birds flew in and they're all chirping, they're all looking at this bird. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like rubbing my hands together. I'm like sending it healing energy through the window. I'm like calling in my guides. I'm like, is there any way we can help this bird? Like, please, like anyone, angels, like come and help this bird. And so like sending it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And then two of the birds flew away, and then the other bird flew away, and then all of a sudden the bird turned over and it was just standing there on its legs. I thought, oh my God, okay, it's still alive. It was able to stand up, but it's like really out of it. So it's kind of like it's cocking its head this way, and then it's slowly going the other way. And you could just tell that this bird was totally out of it. It had the wind knocked out of it for sure. And then all of a sudden, the other bird that was originally chirping comes flying back, and it's like looking at it, and it hops up onto the roof, and it hops over, and their beaks touch like this. They kind of kissed. They kissed the beaks, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I guess the bird, I was so stunned by watching this happen. These birds were all different kinds of birds too. They weren't the same kind of breed, and they were all just kind of being there and wanting to help this bird and trying to, I guess, like, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? And then finally this other bird flew away, and the original bird that hit the window was just sitting there. And I'm like, just take your time. Don't fly till you're ready. Don't fly till you're ready. And then it finally like flew off into the tree. And as it flew off into the tree by my window, the other bird that had flown away, that had gone to its beak, flew in, and they both met on this branch, and they were just chirping away, like talking. And it was just, you know, I don't know. It was just really cool to watch. I was like watching nature and watching how they were taking care of each other and being around and trying to rally the other bird up and wanting to make sure it was okay. And they were concerned, and then the other one waiting. And it just, I don't know. It's this idea of like being there for one another and supporting one another and making sure you're okay. And it was just a really nice reminder to watch. And I think coming off of what I've seen with this whole cancel thing, it's like, listen, you know, we may all stumble, we may all fall down, we may hit a wall somewhere, you know, where we think we're going in the right direction, and boom, like hit a wall and you fall down. You know, if the intentions are good, and it's not that, you know, often that someone's screwing up or whatever, because we all make bad calls. I've made bad calls, you know, and I think it's more important that we just kind of stick together and we remember what we're here for, remember what our mission is, and remember that there are going to be multiple avenues that we all are going down to try to bring forth what it is that we need to bring forth, which is the light. And what is truth? Truth is the light. Okay, so bringing that out of the darkness, it may come along paths that we didn't expect. It will come in ways that we didn't expect, and it'll likely come out of people we didn't expect either. So always have an open mind. If something's kind of rubbing you the wrong way, it could be for a good reason. It could be that it's not good information, or it could be that it's triggering you and you may want to look into why. So that's my video for you guys today. Sorry it was so off the cuff and it was so last minute, but I just wanted to jump on because I've got a meeting shortly and then I've got other stuff I got to do. So I love you guys so much. All right, I'll be back with you guys soon. I've got a couple other videos I want to do, and actually the DNA activation video I did on Saturday night, the ancestral healing, that night I had a crazy dream where they showed me how we utilize some of our activated gifts. And it was basically, I want to say, teleportation slash bilocation. And since I did that in my car a few months ago, they're kind of showing me how we can utilize it. And they showed me with me and another person doing it. It was wild. So maybe I should do a video on that, and share that with you. But okay, guys, I love you so much. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the new moon in Cancer this Friday, and I'll be back with you guys.